Okay, good morning. So today what I want to show you how to do is how to take advantage of your PWM, your analog write capable pins on your Arduino compatible board. Okay, and so we have a couple of different boards that we use in class. This is the Nano Every, and not every pin is PWM capable. Okay, certainly not on the Every. It's designated here by the squiggly line. So 10, 9, 6, 5, and 3 are capable of PWM. PWM means pulse width modulation. In other words, it's able to pulse the pin at a given rate. And what that allows you to do is, for example, change the speed of a motor by slowing down its pulsing rate. So it's off as much as it is on, for example. Or maybe dim a light, which is actually what we're going to do. There are other ones. There's a chance that we might use the ESP32s. And you can see these, every single pin on both sides of the board are capable of pulse width modulation. So any one of these pins can dim an LED. But on the Every, it's going to be just these designated pins. So I've got a board set up, and let me switch over to it real quickly. Alright, and I've got some LEDs, and of course here's the board. So let me just do one real fast demonstration of a single pin. So let's go back here. Let's choose pin 10, for example. So I'm going to hook up just pin 10. So I'm going to take a wire, and I'm going to hook up, let's see, that's 12, 11, that's 10 right there. And I'll plug it in here. Okay? And if we want to demonstrate what that does, if I open up Arduino, I've got a new sketch, although I do have some header and some dividers in here. But of course we have to start with our pin mode, because we do have to set it to output. So I'm going to put pin mode 10, comma, output. And now that pin is set to output. And we can do our classic, we'll start with digital write, and then we'll change it. So we're going to digital write pin 10, comma, we're going to make it high, and semicolon, we'll throw in a delay, I don't know, of 200. Alright, and I'm going to copy that, paste it, and we'll make this a low. Alright, so this is digital write. Okay? And if I load that, you can probably predict what's going to happen, or we certainly hope to predict. And you can see that the light is flashing bright, and it's doing it at 200 millisecond intervals. Okay, so let's change that to an analog write. So I'm going to go back to this. And if I change this to analog write, right, what I end up doing is not making it high or low, but I actually have to give it some sort of a value, and that value has to be between 0 and 255. Okay, so let's put in there something kind of low. Let's put in like a 30. All right, and I'm going to make this one a 0. So 0 would be off, 30 would be pretty dim. So if I load this, we should see the light change from bright to dimmer. And in fact, you can see that's definitely dimmer than it was. Okay? And here, let's do a comparison super fast. Let's go back to our code. We're going to be lazy about it. Let's make a pin 9. And then let's just do that. And we'll make this 9. And we'll make this 9. And we'll make this 255. Alright. And if we load that, we should get a comparison of the two to see that in fact pin 10 is actually dimmer than pin 9. Whoops, what did I do? Hold on one second. Give me a moment. Oh, I haven't plugged it in. Heavens. Come on, Brian. let's look this up. That was silly. Let's plug this in right there, and plug this in right there. Okay, now you can see that in fact they're very, very different. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to hook up these other three. Okay, but again, we can't just go in a row. We can't go 10, 9, 8 because that's not going to work. We know we have to skip 7 and 8 and go all the way down to 6. Okay, so we need to skip a couple. So let me wire that, and I'll pause it, and then I'll show you what I did, and then we'll build a little bit of an array so you can see how that works. Give me a moment. Alright, so you can see that I've now wired these 5 LEDs, and you can see this starts at 0, so it's 0, 1, that would be 2, so I'm going into 3, I skip 1, that's 4, this is 5, right next to it is 6, and then I'm going to skip, let's see if I can move that out of the way so you can kind of see it. Yeah, it's more work than it's worth. I skip 2, which is 7 and 8, there we go, now you can kind of see, and then I'm in 9 and 10. Okay, the 9 and 10 of course are still flashing. So let's take our code and fix it up in a way that we can use that, easily. So we can use a for loop, because remember, if we use a for loop, it's going to go in sequence. If I go from 4, if I make a for loop that goes from 10 to 0, well, it's going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So it's going to hit every pin, including those pins that are not PWM. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to somehow arrange those pins, those odd mixture of pins, in a way that we can still use a for loop and logically step through it in numeric sequence. So let's do it. Just like any variable, arrays included, we have to start declaring it by what type of variable we want it to be. Well, we want this to be an integer. And I think I'm going to call it ALED. Oops, ALED. Because I'm going to use these as my analog LED. All right. Maybe I'll put an S in there. Okay. Now this is where it changes a little bit. It is an array. So we need to give a spot to tell us how many elements are going to be within the array. And I'm going to put 5 of them in there. Okay. Because I'm going to have those 5 pins inclusively. And I'm going to set it to, and then we need an open brace. Okay. What are they? Well, they're 10, 9, 6, 5, and 3. Okay? And we close it off. All right? So that makes this position 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right? So if I want to do what I've done in the past with a for loop to make this, let me tighten that a little bit. So that it does all of them, sets them all to output. I can do it exactly the same way, at least starting. So let's create an integer I. We'll set it equal to 0. Let's go make it I is less than 5. And we want to go I++. Okay. Oops. Wrong brace. Sorry. Let me do that again. Alright, I want that to be just a regular open brace like that. And I'm going to move this into there. Now, we're not done. Okay? Because no longer is it just a value, nor is it just I. Okay? Because that would just be pins, 0 through 4. What we need to do is we need to put in here our variable name. And we need to put in here I, so that way when it's 0, it's going to grab a 10. When it's 1, it's going to grab a 9. When it's 2, it's going to grab a 6, on, and it's going to grab these values and set these pins because it's going to scroll through positions 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that should set up our setup. Let's go down here and let's just get rid of this to start with, and let's just kind of reproduce it. Let's take this, we'll copy it, Paste that there. And I'm going to give it a closed brace here. Let's tidy our code so we can kind of get the structure right. And again, we don't want to use a specific value. We want to make some kind of reference to our array. So if I copy this and paste it here and here, okay, then you can see that we're going to go ahead and run through it. So let's load this up. We'll see what's happening. Oops, what did I do? I forgot to do something. I expected, when did I do that? Oh my God, look at me. Okay, let's see what it looks like. So now you can see it scrolling up. Okay, but it's doing it dimly. All right, so let's change the value. All right, so I'm going to come back to my Arduino code. And let's just make, we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to go on too long. Well, we'll do this. We'll create another loop. And let's change this from an I to a D for dim. Let's give another closed brace. I'm going to make these times way faster. I'll make it 10 and 10. No, actually what I'm going to do, let's make this go from 0. Well, let's make it go from 0 to 255. Okay. And then what I want to do is, let's tidy this, is I want the brightness to be the value of D. So it's going to start at a dim light, and it's going to get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. At least I hope so. So let's give this a go and see what happens. All right. So we can see that they're flashing very quickly, but they are all getting uniformly brighter. All right. And as they do, we're going to get all the way up to maximum light. And this looks funny on the computer. I'm sorry, because my camera's frame rate is kind of screwing up, so it looks all irregular. However, it looks great with me. Let's change that ever so slightly. Let's make the let's make this 100, and let's make this plus equal 10. Okay, so we're going to go up at a much higher rate. And if I load that, we're going to see it moving much more slowly across, but it's getting brighter by a value of 10 every time it does it. And in fact, you can see that it is getting brighter. I think the last thing I'll do is, I really don't like that off. I'm just going to get rid of this delay. And let's load that up. We'll make it smoother that way. And now you can see I'm getting brighter and brighter until they reach a maximum of 255, and then the process will then repeat itself. Okay, so hopefully that was informative. Again, the structure, you need to have a brace, the number of elements, and then you're going to need to go ahead and put the elements inside of that array, end it with a semicolon, don't do what I did, and then you'll be able to call it by simply putting in a value here which points to the position starting with 0 of the pins that you're working with. So that being said, I'm going to end this video, and invariably I'll see you again soon.